it ramps up. Let's get it rolling. We ready? Welcome into the Inside Carolina podcast on the Beat Live. It is Tuesday. It is about 9:01 p.m. on the East Coast. Adam Smith, Ross Martin, and producer John Bauman here. Guys, it's been a busy there is no off season, but now we're in season, and I know it's a hectic time. Ross, let me get straight into you here. Y'all talked to the players this afternoon later, and I hadn't had an opportunity to read them, but I did note your DeAndre Boykins note on the boards. Tell us a little bit about that. And seems like that's caused a little bit of consternation on the Tar Pit premium message board.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be okay. That's what he told us, but he had a hard cast on his right wrist. That's DeAndre Boykins, the cornerback, nickelback, star position. Pretty key defensive player for UNC. Played great against Florida A&M. And you look at maybe his injury combined with the questions surrounding Tony Grimes, who missed the most of the Florida A&M game after, knocking heads. It was pretty clear what happened there. And then, Josh Downs, I think he's still questionable as well. Definitely was questionable Monday. Who knows if he's going to be available. You would think that he can get to where he can play, but he's definitely not 100% right now as we sit here on Tuesday night. So there's some issues in the secondary. And then, if Josh Downs is not 100%, that's your best player on offense right there.
Adam, Ross bringing the injury news. Mac mentioned being banged up coming out of that game. That's the worst possible scenario, is to be banged up in a game like that on Monday. But it sort of makes it intriguing. It sounds like Vegas, when they flipped that line there at the end just recently, they tend to know what's going on, right?
The line from what I've seen, and I am certainly not a Vegas insider, but it's moved all over the place. Ross and I were talking about it the other day on Monday. I think what it was Carolina as a 3-point favorite originally, and then it moved to App maybe being a 1-point favorite. I think I saw today that Carolina was back to being a 1-point favorite. I don't know if I saw that wrong, or I think I saw it on ESPN, but I wanted to shout out Ross because of what you brought up, the DeAndre Boykins, the visual. I mean, he had his head on a swivel, and he saw that. Now, I think it would be important to note on the cast, it's not like a massive thing that you would see in like elementary school that you would sign your name on. It was small, I would say. It was small's accurate when you say Ross. I mean, it was just on his wrist.
Yeah. It was a hard cast, but it was not his arm. It was his wrist. So it was about to right here.
You could mistake it for like some major Alonzo Mourning like sweatband action. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't something huge, but it was a good good notice by Ross. It was like the other night after the FAMU opener when we noticed Josh Downs with the ice pack on his left knee. But I wanted to shout out Ross. Also, if you guys don't mind real quick, I'd like to shout out two of our most loyal listeners the last couple of weeks. And that would be my son, Sam, and his friend, Jalen. So shout out Sam and shout out Jalen, both of Hallfields Middle School in Mebane. So just thanks for letting me get that in real quick.
Hey, no, we love it. Do they give you grief like mine do when they're watching this stuff? I mean,
they have yet to get up the courage to comment on the side over here, but they like to get on. They're both very online, and they're new fans of the show.
Before we get too deep into it, let me ask you, Adam, about your first Bowls Lot experience. I mean, I don't know if Chacos brought the monsoon with him or what happened, but it did seem to arrive when he got there and then stop when he left. But what'd you think about the Bowls Lot action?
Should we call him the Rainmaker from now on?
He should have brought some money.
It was enjoyable. I mean, I am super lucky to be a part of the IC crew these days. I really am. I was enjoying being over at basketball, the basketball scrimmage they were having. That was a lot of fun. And B-Dot's running the show over there. That was enjoyable. You get over there with you and Joey for the radio show. You got Buck there hanging out. You got a lot of the guys that work behind the scenes that I don't quite know, but I'm getting to know them, and everybody seems great. We were at the perfect place for when it started pouring down rain under the tent to protect us, and everybody's just been so welcoming. I had a great time at the Bowls Lot, and I think everybody else did too, for the most part.
Yeah, if you didn't check us out, be down in Bowls Lot 3 hours before every home game. The Gio Bernard autograph football was a thing. Ross, you were down there, but we couldn't get you in the tent. You were partaking close by. A fun time though, a perfect setting down there. And then of course we got Garrison Brooks and B Rob came by, I think after y'all left. But anyway, what'd you think, Ross? Was it successful first week of action going into that Florida A&M game?
Yeah, beating Florida A&M. I mean, I think takeaways from this game is the impression of what Drake Maye did. I mean, he looks awesome, and I think that eased a lot of nerves for fans about the questions at quarterback. I mean, that was a question I had in a very important position. So to see Drake Maye, how he performed, look, I know it's just Florida A&M, and it's easy to get really excited about him, but he looked good. He looked smooth, he looked poised. So that's the major takeaway. Obviously, Amarion Hampton, we'll get into him, of course. But the offense clicked, man. And if you listen to the day after with you, Tommy, and Buck and Jason, or the Letterman show with Vipolis, or my show with Jeff Schottmer, I mean, the offensive play calling, the play of Drake, and the play of Amarion Hampton, and Josh Downs, for that matter, or just the major takeaways from offense. I feel like I've talked about it so many times already. But that is reassuring, and it's good to have that one game underneath the belt. I think there's some conversation and a discussion point of the importance of a week 0 game versus what App State's doing, and what most teams are obviously doing, is not having any film going into that bigger game at Labor Day weekend. I think that's a pretty interesting storyline. We asked the players about that today. And I think, defense, there's certainly some question marks on certain areas. But I think there's still a lot of potential there and a lot to talk about in terms of whether we're overreacting to the secondary issues, the defensive line issues, or just kind of slow down and see how things work out in a couple more games.
Where are we, Adam, here with and Ross, get back in too. Where are we with the reaction of the defense? I mean, Chiswick said it's not just the secondary; it's all a thing. If teams are going quick game, like EJ Wilson said, you got to get your hands up and all. But is it an overreaction? I thought Musa was a very good quarterback. He's probably going to be as good as probably middle of the road quarterback that Carolina will see this year. Maybe upper middle of the road. But this reaction that we've seen about the defense, is it fair? And I'm not minimizing it because they look bad at times, but should it be such a worry now? Or like Ross said, do we need to wait for App and then maybe Georgia State to come along to solidify some fears if there are any?
No, absolutely. Freak out now. Go outside and just burn the neighborhood down. No, I mean, it is fair. It's not unfair, but it also is one game. And, I think it's a little bit of both, to not answer the question. But, what Ross and I, the rest of us, some of the assorted media got to talk to some of the guys today. We're talking to Ravo Hassick. And what did he say, Ross? He said, I feel like there's a lot of room on the table to grow. There's a lot left on the table, for us to grow into as a defense. And yeah. And Mac made the point Monday that the quick passing game of Florida A&M was effective against UNC. He felt Mac and Gene Chiswick felt like the Rattlers did that, to try to minimize UNC's pass rush as best they could. And I think, the secondary was exposed some. I don't think that's unfair to say.
Yeah, and an interesting thing there too is to build on what Ross was saying earlier. So in the secondary, DeAndre Boykins was probably the biggest standout. He led the team in PFF's tackling grade, and he also played the most snaps of any Tar Heel on Saturday. He played 68. So I think that does become a big question mark, the secondary heading into this massive game, week 2, not really understanding what the injury status is. Even the players who played the most snaps on Saturday and who were coming into the season going to be counted on as starters, DeAndre Boykins and Tony Grimes, we don't know what their status is for Saturday.
I think it's an important point to make, and playing off what you're saying there, John, is Tony Grimes goes out on the 8th play. Tony Grimes played 8 plays, and he goes out on the second series for Florida A&M. He plays 8 plays, and then suddenly you're left with Storm Duck, who we know his long and winding injury history, Dante Balfour at corner. Dante Balfour is a redshirt freshman. They're high on him, but you're reduced at corner almost immediately out of the box there. And then you have a guy like DeAndre Boykins who played 68 snaps, and the coaches, have been really high on him since the opener. So you got a new scheme on defense. You have a a guy calling plays in Gene Chiswick for the first time in 5 years, and you lose one of your most talented defensive players 8 plays into the game. So, there were some things. There was the proverbial adversity there that happened that you might not be expecting to happen, and that could have led to some of the issues back there. Maybe.
Ross, is that adversity good for this team? Do you think? Because I mean, we stressed about the offense, and the offense showed that it ain't about us, at least not in game one. But the defense was supposed to be that thing. Did the defense need popping in the mouth a little bit? Maybe is that a good thing?
I think obviously when you see some mistakes on tape, they're great to fix. You learn more from kind of winning the game, but maybe not playing as well. You can coach them hard, I guess is the way. I think Mac always said you can coach them harder after a win, or maybe Hubert or Roy Williams said that. But they looked at a lot of tape, and it sounds like they had a little tough conversation with Charlton Warren. I know Boykin said that, maybe Gio Biggers. We talked to them today, that there was a little look in the mirror for the secondary, that there's no time to, this is it. Like, this is lock-in time. So they saw what they did wrong. There's some, not necessarily schematic issues, but how you play in the scheme. If you listen to Jeff Schottmer on our Calling the Shots, we talked about that, kind of how you handle the zones we're playing, UNC's playing, how you defend at the top of a route by a quarterback, those kind of things. And then, it needs to be more pressure on the quarterback, and that comes with defensive linemen doing their job, getting pressure with 4 guys, or get to the quarterback when you do blitz. But yeah, I think the secondary, just let too many wide receivers run free. And so they'll see that, they'll fix that, and they know that App State saw that too. So the weaknesses they showed on defense are going to be exploited, especially a guy like Marcus Allen or Dante Balfour, some of the more inexperienced cornerbacks that will play if Grimes can't go. So I'm interested to see. John, do you want to bring up that question about Cavazos and Day?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions right now about who is available. I don't know what you all know, but can you speak to maybe who can or can't play this weekend from what you know?
Yeah, so Day-Day's been passed. Day-Day's been passed the depth chart by Balfour and Marcus Allen. That's clear. So the fact that he didn't play much against Florida A&M and sources, he's third team right now. So
he's on special teams, right? He's a special teamer right now, isn't he? I mean,
I don't have the special teams like depth chart, snap count right in front of me right now, Adam. But Day, yeah, he's a solid player. I mean, he's had good moments at UNC, but he's been passed in depth chart by Marcus Allen and Dante Balfour. And then Cavazos, I believe, should play. Don't take it to the bank. But his injury is not crazy serious. It's more like a lingering thing. So the hope and the need for UNC is that he can play, because I think he is that number 3 corner after Duck and Grimes. He'd be the guy. So they do need him. And this is a big enough game where I think, if you do have that lingering issue, kind of push through it if you're, close to 90, 100%.
Let me say a guy, and I know everybody here loves talking about him, and it's fascinating to watch him. Power Eccles gets it. And Chiswick talked about him. Mac talked about him. I haven't listened to the players, but, I mean, it's pretty obvious that guy's different, Adam. And when you watch a guy like him play, you got to think that it rubs off on everybody. I mean, he's just ridiculous. There's one play that I don't even talk about. He blew up like a back that was back there. It didn't end up in the play, but just destroyed somebody back there blocking. I mean, this kid is a guy you can build a defense around, and he's virtually a redshirt freshman snap-wise.
He plays hard. I mean, he plays. What has the UNC coaching staff been talking about since the spring? He plays hard, and he's passionate too. It really means something to him. When we talked to him after the game, it was pushing 1 a.m. when we talked to him after the game, but he said he felt like he'd been in a fight, because Cedric Gray had made the comment that he thought that they started on defense a little flat, and so we sort of asked Power about that too. His cohort there at middle linebacker, Ced came in and mentioned that he felt like you guys were going a little flat, getting off a little flat. And Power said, well, I don't think, as many plays were going to his side. They were coming to my side, and it didn't seem flat to me. I felt like I was in a fight from the start. But yeah, Power Eccles, I mean, he looks like a guy that you can just pencil in there. And they put a lot of snaps on him the other night. Put a lot of snaps on him and Cedric Gray the other night. I don't think Ra and Sebastian Cheeks really played a ton of snaps.
Yeah, Power's a stud, man. And UNC fans have to be pumped. Excuse me. But he's your starting middle linebacker for the next 3-4 years. I guess 3 years. And he is incredible. He's a great personality, great team leader. He's the kind of guy you want to represent UNC football, and he's good. He showed that. He didn't miss many tackles when he did blitz. He got to the quarterback, which is key. And it sounds like he is a leader back there. Undersized, 6 feet, 5'11", but man, tough, gritty, and he showed that in the first game. So UNC fans should be, kind of another Jeremiah Gimmel with maybe a little bit more athleticism.
And
yeah,
he
I was going to say
too, Ross, when you're talking about being tough and gritty. I mean, the guy you can be those things. He gets out there and produces, he makes the tackles. Yeah. He gets back there and disrupts things.
Yeah, that's what I was going to kind of say too. Yeah, along those same lines, like UNC hasn't had a linebacker who can go in the backfield and make those tackles for loss consistently, cover both sides of the field. I think there's a difference between like the linebacker who makes tackles that kind of shift through the defensive line, kind of cleaning up the mess. And then there's linebackers who are really attacking and, knifing into the backfield. He did a really good job on his pass rush snaps as well. So I think UNC just really hasn't had a player like Power Echols at linebacker, and that's really exciting to see.
Ross and I thought on the fumble that Camion Rucker actually, I think, poked out of there. We thought just watching it live that Power got it because he's around the ball so much. Wears that arm sleeve, and we saw his arm in there beating on Jeremy Musa, who, by the way, when we were talking about UNC's coverage issues, I think Musa played well the other night. I mean, he completed some passes that were in some very tight windows. The touchdown pass to A.J. Davis, the running back on the wheel route, where he had Chris Collins, UNC linebacker, on him. He dropped that thing in a tight little spot. His guy has been around. He's a California kid. He went to Vanderbilt. He transferred to Florida A&M to try to play, and he looks like he's gonna have that quarterback job sewed up, even though Florida A&M returned a starter there. But he completed some tough balls. But
John, anyway, you forget about Chad Surratt, John. UNC had a 2-time first-team All-ACC quarterback or linebacker.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, Chad Surratt just got released by the Vikings, I think I saw. But the thing about Surratt, though, is he wasn't really a linebacker. Power Echols was like born as one.
And named to be one with the first name Power.
Something I was going to mention, and I thought it was fascinating discussion when they were talking about schemes make players a little bit. And I guess it was Longo or maybe it was Chiswick. It was Chiswick that said, Musa went to Vanderbilt and did nothing. And then he comes to Florida A&M. He plays in a scheme that works for him, and he looked pretty good. Flipping over to let's stay here. And then, Ross, I want you to get into the reads. But who on the defensive line popped for you guys? Ross, I'll start with you. It's tough. It was tough to pick one out for me.
Cayman Rucker.
Yeah.
I thought
25's always the guy.
Yeah, I thought he was powerful, and we always kind of forget about him because Des Evans and him play the same position. They usually are both down the field at the same time. The other power ends, but man, he's tough. He's powerful. He gets in there, and he seems to be pretty productive. Now he's still pretty young too, and hasn't played a lot of snaps. But Cayman Rucker, and the thing is, man, he just needs to play more and more and more. I mean, I'm not sure how many times Des Evans' name was called, we forget about the interior linemen are getting double teamed. They're stuck in the middle. They can be really, really good players, but not kind of have the stats like a Ray Vahasek or a Miles Murphy or Jabari Ritzy. But I'd go with Rucker the Butcher.
What you got, Adam? You can't pick Rucker.
I think that's a great answer by Ross. And with Cayman Rucker, he sort of has that sixth man off the bench mode in basketball. You just bring him in there, turn him loose to rush the passer, and he seems to deliver in that role. But to answer your question, Tommy, Ravo Hasek and Miles Murphy both graded out well on the PFS Focus grades that Greg Barnes puts together. And those are interesting to read because we all watch the game. And as Ross mentioned, some of those interior guys can sort of just get lost when you're watching the ball and you're trying to see who's getting back there. And they're just in there just plugging holes and taking on blockers and stuff. But PFF had Ray Vohasek and Miles Murphy graded pretty highly. And, I guess I would pick those two. I didn't hear Des. I was going to look and see how many tackles they credited him with because I have the stats here, but I didn't hear Des Evans' name much. He started, somebody we're looking for to have a big year. He is on here for 2 tackles. He had 2 tackles. But yeah, so I mean, I guess I would say Miles Murphy and Ravo Hasek. I mean, Javari Ritzie played several different positions. I believe they rolled him through nose and 3 technique. We saw him moving up and down the line a little bit. So I still think that line can be capable of some nice performances.
It's interesting. You talk about the size on the defensive line, and they always talk about it, but the 2 most productive guys on the defense are both 2 undersized guys. Preston from Greensboro said it in the chat, but I was thinking it. Rucker and Power are both undersized for their positions, and they're the ones producing. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, for me, who stood out on the defensive line was Travis Shaw. He only played 7 snaps, but my dad and I sit in the end zone. There's just a width to Travis Shaw that you just can't really describe, and I hadn't seen it until this game. But he's just about 1.5 times as big as every other defensive lineman, and I mean that has to matter.
That single digit too.
Yeah,
Wearing the 4.
It just doesn't make sense. It's like an optical illusion watching him on the defensive line because he's just so big, and watching him move too. He's very quick. He's one of those guys. I think it's going to be very hard for him to, not just run into some tackles and just absolutely flatten some people. So he stood out to me. It was very exciting to watch Travis Shaw.
Want to flip to the offensive side of the ball, but Ross, I nominate you for the Johnny T-shirt and the Blue Shark. Look, man, Blue Shark.
Yeah, we're doing back-to-back. Awesome. Yeah, we'll do Johnny T-shirt, johnnyt-shirt.com, your one-stop shop for everything you need. Man, heading to Boone. I know it's not that cold yet, but go to Johnny T-shirt, order a shirt, jersey. Be careful wearing Carolina blue up there in the high country, but get your Johnny T-shirt, johnnyt-shirt.com. Remember, all Inside Carolina subscribers get 10% off. So join IC. We're going to be dropping a pregame scoop on the premium message board with all the injury updates. Those who want to know, Adam's going to be in there an hour and a half before the game starts, getting that pregame scoop ready. That's on the premium board. The Johnny T-shirt, johnnyt-shirt.com, everything you need. Am I still live? It froze there for a second. Everything you need, T-shirts, jerseys, sweatshirts, get ready, get set, Johnny T-shirt, johnnyt-shirt.com. And let's go ahead and talk about Blue Shark Vodka. I brought my bottle from the office. Tommy, which one do you have, Tommy? Oh, we have the same one.
I got the high dollar one.
Yeah, this is the special bottle. I dropped off 2 bottles, 2 half gallons of vodka at tailgates, my 2 favorite tailgates. The one that Tommy goes to, I dropped one off for the ladies there. Coulter's wife and Dustin Duke's fiance, Kelsey, and Caitlin. I dropped them off with a half gallon of Blue Shark vodka, locally made in Wrightsville, Carolina sweet corn, partially owned by Connor Barth, the legendary UNC kicker. It's the smoothest vodka in the world. Blue Shark vodka, very accessible, available in all 100 U.S. counties, North Carolina counties, parts of South Carolina as well. It's got a great price point. It's easy to bring to a tailgate. Tastes great. It's easy. Blue Shark vodka. Check them out on Instagram. We appreciate Connor Barth and Blue Shark vodka for their support. Bring it to the tailgate. Got 5 more Saturdays. Lock in Blue Shark vodka and Johnny T-shirt.
Got National Guys Pay the Bills. We'll be right back on the beat live. It is about 9:24 on Tuesday evening. Back with On the Beat Live. Guys, let's talk a little bit about the offense. And Ross, before the break, you said 5 more Saturdays in Bowles Lot because one of them will be a 6th one will be in Boone this weekend. Let's go to the offense. And I'm starting to think, everybody gives me a hard time about backup quarterback or whatever is your favorite player. And clearly I like somebody from the county I grew up in the town that I live in. But Adam, Kamari Morales, man, that dude just catches touchdown passes. I have a feeling that he's going to be Drake Maye's Josh Downs. Drake Maye's Josh Downs version that Sam Howell used all last year.
Okay, so we're putting him down for 101 catches and 1,300 yards then, Tommy? That's what you're saying?
No, security blanket wise. I think I'll say 50 catches and 750 yards for Nesbitt.
All right. Oh, you said Nesbitt?
Nesbitt or Morales?
No, Morales. I'm sorry. No, 50 and 500 for Morales.
What's happening? I'm not here. Like, okay, Morales. Okay, I got
I'm
you.
making shit
Well,
up.
he is
Stuff
a
as I
he is
go.
a supple security blanket. He's got some nice size. He's got some nice hands. I think he had 3 games last year where he caught a touchdown pass in 3 straight games from Sam Howell. And yeah, I mean, hey, Drake Maye hit 10 different receivers the other night. So I don't know if we're going to be able to make these bold predictions after one game. I mean, he hit 10 different guys. I mean, Josh Downs caught 9 passes, but I think he targeted the tight ends 10 times. And 3 different guys got involved. Brice Nesbitt got a touchdown pass. Granted, he was wide open, but Drake found him. It was the correct read. Kamari Morales caught the first one of Drake Maye's career, and he had some pressure. Drake, actually, we asked him after the game if he had a favorite throw, and he said the throw to your boy Morales to get things started because he had some pressure in his face, and he was able to get it over 2 defenders. And John Copenhaver got in the mix. I was joking with Ross. I believe he tweeted it and did not credit me, which is fine. He's got a very strong Twitter game. But after the 2 tight ends caught the touchdowns passes, he said, all right, John Copenhaver is next up, because I was running my mouth about that in the press box. But, I think Drake Maye is going to get a lot of people involved. Now, as the defenses get stronger, as the opponents get stronger, and the venues get tougher to play in, like this weekend's, we'll see how it works out. You could be depending on Josh Downs like Sam Howell depended on Josh Downs. But he sure did distribute the ball the other night. I mean, that thing was going all over the place.
What do you think, Ross? Over under tight end yards 800.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't even know the math on that. I mean, look, yeah, they have great tight ends. I think Adam nailed it. I mean,
I'm trying to cover everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a great add to the offense. It's been a point of emphasis for Longo, but you got to have the players. Morales has been good now. Really good last year. Looks like obviously not much has changed for him. He's going to be good this year. And they really like Brice Nesbitt. He was recruited kind of as that jumbo athlete, tight end, wide receiver. And if you look at his PFF, they moved him all over. I was looking at when we were talking to him today. They moved him all over, different places. He lined up at a couple different spots. Just great. That can make your offense way more diverse. It can challenge safeties and cornerbacks to kind of be confused to who's covering who. And you get mismatches with a 6'6" guy on a 6'1" linebacker, a 6'6" guy on a 6'1" safety. I mean, that's an impact. So I think it's all positives. And then they like Copenhaver, and he got tons of burn as well. Dropped a touchdown pass, but he had the longest in terms of yards, longest pass play for Drake Maye, 33 yards, which is kind of interesting. Drake Maye did not hit on any deep balls, didn't attempt many deep balls, if any. Played within the game plan, took what was given him. Was that designed by Longo to kind of just, get it out quick? Let's get some rhythm going here. And then when things were open, he checked down. He hit the players in space to give them time to run. Didn't force anything, deep or make, he made some tough throws, but didn't really force anything. So I think it was a great way to kind of bring him along. But obviously the deep ball was a huge part of Sam's game. And look, Drake is not Sam. So he's going to be used differently. And you got to be impressed with how Longo handled that in game 1 against Florida A&M.
Yeah.
To add on to that, and Ross is preaching, by the way. This guy's dropping all sorts of knowledge. Like, I'm just over here nodding because he's locked in.
I feel like, Adam, you're sitting over there going, Hercules.
Yeah, he's great. How could you not love the guy? But Phil Longo, when we were talking to him on Monday, it seems like a long time ago, but it was yesterday. He did say, as you get into the evaluation of how these guys played, evaluation of how Drake played, that there were some deep shots there that he did not take. He said that he checked it down on several occasions when maybe a more explosive play was out there over the top or to the sidelines or whatever. So that's something we should keep an eye on. I mean, this is this guy's first start, and we try to listen to the coordinators and to Mac. And that was something that perked our ears up a little bit, I think, when he said that as well as Drake played, the guy threw 5 touchdown passes, threw for 294 yards, that he didn't, go for the home run balls, that he checked some down. So it'll be something to watch going forward.
Yeah, I've been keeping a close eye on some stats that actually speak exactly to that. This is from cfbstats.com. UNC led the FBS in week 0 in plays of 10-plus yards, but they had 0 plays of 50-plus yards and 0 plays of 60-plus yards. I'm going to be really interested to watch how that plays out over the course of the season, because we know that for the first 3 seasons with Sam Howell as quarterback, UNC had a very explosive offense. They ranked in the top 10 nationally in plays of 10-plus yards each of the 3 seasons. But they also had a lot of big plays, 40, 50, 60-yard plays. So Drake Maye sees the field very well, but I'm still looking for those deep shots. I'm still looking to see that within the offense. And it's interesting that the coordinators made that comment. Maybe that's something that Drake and the offense will seek out more in week 1 against App State. But it is very interesting to kind of track that stat because big plays is how this offense sort of made its money the last 3 seasons for sure.
And do we know what kind of deep ball that Drake Maye throws? I don't think we know. We know that he is athletic to be 6'5". We know that he's good throwing on the run. They like to move him around. They think he's, deceptively mobile, but I don't know if we knew Sam Howell had the home run ball where he could just hit the back foot and load it up and let it go to De'Ami Brown. We'll see. I'm not sure.
We don't know yet. We'll find out at some point. We don't know yet, but he's a 5-star. Jason freaking loves him. Has Jason said anything about his deep ball? I haven't seen the game, and look, I'm not watching tape like Jason is of the spring game. So, but he has the arm talent. You saw that arm. What I like about Drake is he had a lot of off-platform throws, a lot of throws with players in his face, a lot of kind of on the move across your body, backing up, without your feet set. Whereas, you probably should set your feet. You probably should have the good footwork. He was able to make the throws without the stuff that, the basics you teach to make a throw good. So, that's the sign of a good kind of quarterback who can make things happen in different scenarios, which I liked about him.
Yeah, I think if my memory serves, he took one shot to J.J. Jones maybe at some point in that game.
Yeah, someone said that in the chat too.
Yeah, and I missed that. But then they didn't really go back to it. I think he's good all around. We'll see this weekend. And so let's turn it a little bit to App State. And Adam, I'll come in to you first. You talked about, a couple of weeks ago going up the mountain and playing this game. Mike Ingersoll says this is Carolina's Virginia Tech game last week. Jeff Schottman with Ross thinks Carolina's got the advantage going up there, having really played that first game, and that's a big deal. Where do you stand here? I think it's a must-win for Mac, and I don't say that too often. That's a joke because I say it all the time. But I think they have to beat App State in this game for Mac Brown to not lose all the wind in the sails. Where are you?
I think it's huge. I don't know about Mac Brown's wind in his sails or his job security or his golf game or anything else. But I'm super excited about this. And I got some numbers here for you. Like, one thing I can do is look some things up. App State, since 2015, is 73-19 in college football. That's a pretty good record. They've gone to 6. They've won 6 bowl games. They won 4 Sun Belt titles. As we know, the UNC football Tar Heels did not win a game on the road last year. That wasn't good. App is 42-7 at home since 2014. Now, granted, I know they're not playing Power 5 schools up there at the Rock every week, but this is a program that knows how to win, that expects to win, that wins. When they were on the FCS level, they were reeling off national championships with Jerry Moore and Armani Edwards. And since they've moved up to FBS in the Sun Belt, the winning has continued. They just keep on churning them out. I think it's 10 straight years that they've had an 1,000-yard rusher. It's pretty sick.
I think that's why the line shifted so much. Like, they don't lose at home very often, and UNC sucks on the road in the last couple of years. That's just an easy, that means a lot in college football. You can measure the field. It's the same thing, but that, I think that matters a lot, especially early in the season. So, man, I've been, the more and more I think about it, the more I'm like, dang, I get why, I could see UNC losing. But Tommy, you said this is the most important game or very important. What would happen if UNC loses? I guess when you said this is a big game for Mac Brown, what do you mean? What's the impact of this? I think it's a great question. Not to get anyone if they lose type talk.
Yeah, obviously the season will go on, but have you seen the message boards?
I want your opinion. I know I'm very aware of what it would mean.
In my opinion, everything that they've discussed would go out the window. They all of this, they're going to contend for national championships. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to win. They're bringing in all this talent, and then you go up and you lose App, and you go to 0-2 against App in your 3 years there. I just think it makes it very difficult for the talk, for people to understand that the talk is a real thing.
Yeah.
If they lose this game, the only way you make it right is if they go 9-3, 10-2. You lose this game and you go 7-5, and then maybe you don't beat State at the end of the season. Then I think, and no, that Mack Brown is never going to be on the hot seat. But I think you're going to have the natives beyond restless, and I just don't know if you're recovering. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said there. The talent different. I mean, the 4 and 5 stars, they're loaded now. Those guys are redshirt sophomores, juniors, even some seniors. And you're going against App State, which they have a lot of veterans, but the talent differential from a recruiting standpoint is just not there. So you can't go up there and lose again after losing at home 2019. Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it. I don't know. I can't really add much to that, but yeah, it's like kind of a joke if you're thinking about, we're going to win the state. We're going to compete for AC titles. Well, you can't even beat App State in your backyard, who's not in Power 5. That's where it becomes an issue. And App's favored right now, and that's kind of wild. I think it's just wild that App's favored. Adam, you got to take John, Adam on that?
Carolina's going to win the game. That's my take. They're going to win the game 34-31. That's what I've got. Also, I had meant to say it earlier, John's USFL shirt is awesome. I love it. But this is going to be – I just think this is going to be so much fun. And I think we're going to really learn a lot about this UNC team, this young and inexperienced team on offense, this revamped defense. I think it's going to be an absolute electric scene up there. Can you imagine what this scene is going to be like? I mean, the game's been sold out since July, Ross. They sold the game out in July. I mean, they've had some good crowds up there. They've had some Halloween games that have gotten nutty on ESPN. Something caught fire one time. I don't know if y'all remember that. They had a Halloween game and the school library was on fire. It's going to be great. I have been fortunate enough to cover a lot of games up there, and I got out for an Elon App State game, parked in the lot 1 year up there, got out of my car, and literally the first person I saw was the Chancellor of Appalachian State carrying the FCS National Championship trophy just around the parking lot. That's the first person I saw. But Carolina's going to win the game 34-31. We're going to see Noah Burnett make a couple pressure field goals with 40,000 people hanging off the mountain up there. And Carolina's going to go to Georgia State 2-0. And that's what's going to happen.
Ooh.
I hold the position of being the only one to select App State among Inside Carolina's panel of experts. So I feel like as that person, I have to represent some of the contrarian point of view here. Maybe what we're missing in this conversation as well is that App State is a really good football team. They are ranking really well in all the advanced stats that you look at, the S&P plus, F&P. Friend of the program, Lee Pace, had a good tweet today as well. He said 21 App State players who are 5th or 6th year guys. I think that's really, that says something. We've talked a lot about how, there's a difference between a Spencer Rowland, who's a 5th year senior, and a Zach Rice, who's an 18-year-old. App State is a team full of grown men, and to put so much on this game in terms of stakes of the program, it's a lot, because this is a very good App State team. So there's a lot of context that's lost there if you just say this is a must win, and it's sort of a thumbs up or thumbs down on Mack Brown's football program on a whole.
I don't disagree there, and that's why in 2019 I don't think it was that big a deal that Carolina lost to them. Carolina was stunk the 2 seasons before that. Granted, they had Sam Howell in 2019, so that was different. And App State had those defensive ends that were just wearing Carolina's offensive line out. But do I think Carolina wins this game? Yes, I do. I just think they can't afford to lose it, and for the reasons I've already said. And Ross, you nod, you agree with me there. It's just one of those things that if you're going to do all these things you say you're going to do, you can't lose this game. State game, notwithstanding, that was a miracle for State. You go up to App State and you come back with an L, it's just tough to recover. It's going to be tough to pick the fan base, especially off the mat, and move forward, especially with Georgia State, who's not bad, and then with Notre Dame coming to town. It makes it very, very, very difficult for Mac Brown.
I think, App has a really good quarterback. Now, he sucked at Duke, Chase Brice, but he was awesome last year. I was looking at some numbers. Like, he's good. He's a 6-year player. He was a highly recruited guy. This guy was a Clemson quarterback. They don't really take slouches at the quarterback position. Struggled at Duke because it was the COVID year, and he really didn't get much spring game stuff or anything there. But, I mean, he was incredible stats last year. He's a 6-year guy. He's seen a lot of stuff. He's not going to be rattled. He's seen it all. I mean, he's seen it all. And so a veteran quarterback is crucial. And the two almost 100,000-yard running backs, I don't know too much about the personnel beyond that, but I think the defense is pretty good. They lost some wide receivers. Adam, jump in here. But this is a pretty good App team. New offensive coordinator. They've had 5 different coordinators in 5 years. But the Chase Brice aspect, that guy's not going to be rattled, and that kind of should concern UNC's defense. Adam?
Chase Brice, to add to your point, Ross, Chase Brice in his 6th year. His first season of college football was 2017. Do you know what was going on at UNC in 2017? Chaz Surratt and Nathan Elliott were playing quarterback when Chase Brice was starting his career at Clemson. And Ross makes another good point. He and I have talked about this. UNC, some of the older UNC defenders like Gio Biggers, who we talked to today, they got after Chase Brice pretty dang good in Durham during the COVID year in 2020. He had an awful afternoon that day at Wallace Wade Stadium, and it was completely empty because of COVID and Duke's restrictions on campus. But, in hearing from the coaches at UNC and hearing from some of the older players, they think that, the system that he is in now, Chase Brice, is conducive to him playing better. A veteran offensive line, running backs who churn out 1,000 yards. He did, as Ross mentioned, he threw for a school record last year in terms of passing yards. He broke Armani Edwards' school record, and that he's no slouch either. So it's just, you have the redshirt freshman Drake Maye, and you have the 6 years. I don't know how old Chase Brice is, but the guy's got to be 24 years old, doesn't he? This guy's been around the block. So just another wrinkle that I think is super interesting about this game.
Let me ask you guys, what do you think we'll see differently in this game? Ross, you asked the question I'd mentioned. How does the depth chart change? Who moves up? Who moves down? Do we expect Rucker to get more snaps like we talked about? Do we expect, Boykins to continue to get a ton of snaps? What about on offense? Does Gavin Blackwell get more catches? If Josh Downs is out, who fills in? Ross, is there anything differently? Everybody talks about vanilla against Florida A&M. What difference may we see Saturday against App?
Yeah, I think you'll see a little bit shorter running back rotation. I do think you'll still see DJ Jones because of his ability to pass protect and kind of knows that has experience there. But you'll see more Amarion Hampton early and often. At wide receiver, I wouldn't expect too much changes. I feel like Gavin Blackwell played a lot. I feel like probably see a little more Kobe Paysauer. But then I think defense, I would like to see the same kind of rotation at defensive line. Like, they all can kind of split reps. Look at some numbers here. Behasic played 28 snaps. Miles Murphy played 31. Rucker played 32. So that's roughly half the snaps when you think about each defensive lineman. And then I think the question mark there is who plays at corner and who kind of steps in there. So and who's healthy. So beyond the Amarion Hampton depth chart issue, I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of changes. I don't know if Adam has any thoughts on that.
I think it's going to be fascinating to see where this whole thing at running back goes, because I think that as we saw Saturday night, and I think it's just obvious how talented Amarion Hampton and George Pettaway are. I think there's no denying it, how talented he is. But as Ross mentioned, and as Max said Monday, one of the unsung heroes of the game Saturday night was DJ Jones' ability to pick up some maybe missed assignments on the offensive line and to keep Drake Maye clean. Drake didn't get sacked. So, I think that dynamic there with you have a veteran in DJ Jones who, has way more sense of what to do in terms of pass protection. And then Drake May told us, as I'm sure everybody saw, sometimes he has to tell Marion Hampton which way the play is going. But I mean, you get that guy pointing in the right direction, he's going to make some things happen. So I think that's going to be just at App in Atlanta against Notre Dame. I just think it's going to be very interesting to see where that position goes for UNC with the talent that is so obvious there. And people have been hinting about it. I mean, you got a Thunder and Lightning combo there a little bit, remix Thunder and Lightning from the Michael Carter, Javonte Williams days. But also on the defensive line point that Ross made, they made like hockey line changes. It started 4 guys the first series, then 4 other guys came in the second series. They were rolling through guys left and right. So that that's not going to continue probably, but
I think that's great too, to keep everybody fresh and to put pressure on App State's offensive line, because the talent differential is there. So if you have the better talent and you keep them fresh, you should be able to have a little bit of advantage on certain plays here and there. And there's nobody. App State has nobody. Maybe I'm not sure about this, but App State has nobody like Amarian Hampton or George Pettaway. I mean, they have good running backs, but do they have someone, a high 4-star, 2 high 4-stars back there? So you flex that talent and you see if they can keep up.
Yeah, they're running backs. I mean, they've got some good guys. Weren't recruited that highly, but they are certainly solid. I think this game hinges, and we'll talk more about it in the game plan podcast later in the week. This game hinges on Carolina's ability to stop the run. App State wants to run the ball. Carolina's supposed to be able to stop it. We'll see if that defensive line is as good as they have said they are going to be this year. Just for the record, Brice, CJ Brice, January 27th, 1998. He's 24 and a half. He would draw Social Security in a couple of years. All right, football talk is over. Adam, you mentioned the basketball scrimmage, and you had an opportunity to go in there and check it out. Just real briefly, about 10 minutes or so, let's talk about this before we get out of here at 10 o'clock. What did you see on that basketball court that maybe was different, maybe was just more of the same, even in a scrimmage fun setting from guys like Armando and Caleb and RJ?
Yeah, I saw RJ Davis and Caleb Love making plays. I mean, I just saw them out there balling. There wasn't anything like remarkably different. It was good to see Pete Nance out there running around, fall away jumpers, little mid-range jumpers, fitting in. Seth Trimble looked bouncy. I think he's going to be a guy that has a nice year backing up Caleb and RJ. DeMarco Dunn had a nice little afternoon. I saw the first half, and I saw about the first 5 minutes of the second half, and then I came out to join you on the radio. So I know Caleb had a big second half, but Armando had 10 rebounds at halftime. It was fun seeing them, out there running around and everything. I will say that Justin McCoy got off the first 3 shots of the game, and he missed all of them, and he was scoreless at the half. Not to hate on Justin McCoy. He did get on the board early in the second half. I believe he was 0 for 5 at one point by my stat keeping. But RJ Davis looked great in the first half. I think he had 17 points in the first half. I mean, just raining threes in, driving to the cup, making those incredibly difficult falling shots. He had some really sweet passes on some pick and pops. Fun stuff. Totally fun stuff.
Yeah, I encourage everyone, if you're curious, go watch our YouTube videos. We've been posting a ton of stuff, all the footage from the basketball scrimmage. My takeaway, I was really impressed from what I saw from UNC on Saturday. To me, it looked like either the blue team or the white team would be a very good college basketball team, because Caleb Love and RJ Davis, they were playing against each other. Both of them are elite college guards. They can create their own shot. They have great 3-point shots. They were aggressive. It was a little bit funny because Caleb and RJ, there were no coaches there really. So they pretty much could do whatever they wanted. So it's kind of like a fun hypothetical, like, Caleb, if you're not going to get taken out of the game, what shots would you take? So he was just firing from long range, and he made a lot of them. Honestly.
That was kind of like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, but he was very emboldened on Saturday. I was also very impressed with Pete Nance. I think after watching him just in those 20, 40 minutes of the scrimmage, I got a much better picture of what he's going to be. The press conference quotes from the summer weren't all that accurate. He's a very different player than Brady Manick. There's not a whole lot in common between them other than maybe their height. Brady Manick is a natural shooter. Pete Nance is he can shoot, but he had sort of a flat shot there in the limited times that we got to see him. He is going to fit well with this team, though, because he kind of fills a space within the floor. He can kind of hang around the mid-range, and he can shoot some fadeaways. He's a kind of a crafty scorer there. He also held up pretty well on defense against Armando Bacot, who's going to be a preseason All-American. Pete Nance was thin, but he sort of battled with him and protected the rim pretty well. So all in all, very impressed with what I saw from UNC. It's going to be a very fun season for North Carolina Tar Heel fans.
Which reminds me, I did see Armando grab several rebounds and go coast to coast with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Another one, no coaches.
I think I made the comment to Ben Sherman. I'm like, I wonder what Hubert's going to have to say if Armando pulls one of those in November or December with, the board, and I'm pushed it the whole way. So
yeah,
it was a scrimmage. It was a scrimmage when you saw Armando running point center.
Well, the cool thing about the Bowls Lot show is Brandon Robinson and Garrison Brooks Sterling Manley came out and talked to us out there. And they said the one question I asked Garrison is, could he still take Armando? And I'm not quite sure he answered that. But anyway, Carolina basketball is here sooner than later, but Carolina football is rolling right now. Ross Martin mentioned the crowd. Got to give a shout out to the 250 plus or close to 300 people that have been in the YouTube live watching us. We got to get it up. Let's get it up 500-600 people. Carolina handles business this weekend. It'll get there. Adam Smith, Ross Martin, John Bauman, Blue Shark Vodka, Johnny T-shirt, like, review, rate, whatever you want to do, just get here. YouTube live on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Ross Martin with the prop. It is good stuff. I can testify to that. Johnny T-shirt, I can testify that they're awesome. Inside Carolina, you know where it's at. Thanks, guys.